All right, guys, welcome into the AfterSchrock. Appreciate you joining us here on the program after the show. For those of you who are new to the AfterSchrock, this is where we talk about all the stuff that I either can't talk about on the radio, things that I really shouldn't say on the radio, or just situations that don't really pertain to the radio show itself. Like, talking about why the 800 number isn't working, or why I'm just really, really, really not happy with Spectrum anymore, or ever again. Those are fun times. So yeah, all kinds of fun stuff going on. So the 800 number. So we moved our phone service. I told this story before, but we moved our phone service from from Spectrum over to Allo when we moved our Lincoln Service Center. And the reason we did that was because Spectrum needed like another 47 days to install cable in the service center. They had to hook up a cable to get service to the building that we were in. They needed 0.7 feet of cable, apparently, and it was going to take 48 days, up to 48 days. So maybe not quite 48. And in the meantime, it was a bunch of other stuff went wrong. It was a mess. So we decided to move over to Allo. Allo could get service to the building in the time frame that we needed. Everything was great. Phone numbers are going to port over. That's great. So Spectrum was just mean about it. They said, okay, no, we can't port your numbers. And then when we met all the paperwork bureaucracy, they finally said, okay, now you can port the numbers, but it takes 5 business days. And then in the meantime, we're literally on a cell phone in the Lincoln Service Center trying to operate on 1 phone line instead of 4. Customers are still calling back the cell phone rather than calling the main lines anymore. We have finally just had to like turn off that phone and like leave a voicemail message. It's like, this is not Schrock Innovation's phone number. Give us a call at 402-423-9595. So that people would stop calling the cell phone so we could take the cell phone back. That's usually for on-sites and things that we put in the vehicle. So if it's in the vehicle, nobody can answer it, obviously. Well, in the confusion of everything, I thought that Cox Communications had our toll-free number. And so I talked to Spectrum. I said, is there a toll-free number on our account? And they said, no, there is not. And so, okay, great. So we got everything moved over to Allo. The day came when we canceled our service. We turned in our Spectrum equipment, and that day, last week, we found out during the radio show, 800 number wasn't working. Oh wow, that's weird. So we turn around and call Spectrum, and Spectrum says you don't have an 800 number through us. But when we go, I'll save you the details of the very long story. But through an immense amount of online detective work, I was able to empirically prove to Spectrum that they host our toll-free number. They resold it. Time Warner Cable gave it to us as through Verizon Business was the provider. So anyway, they whenever Spectrum bought Time Warner, they for whatever reason didn't put the 800 number on our new Spectrum bill. So the 800 number was working. It was always there. We were just never getting billed for it. And because we were never getting billed for it, it's not technically attached to an account. But it is attached to an account when you look up the number. But they just can't see whose account it's attached to. So as a result, we own the number. Any human being looks at that, says, it's been pointed to the same place for over a decade, and it's your phone number it's pointed to. I mean, come on, that's your 800 number. But since the system says it's not our 800 number, and there's no way, not even a human being can override that system. Oh, God, of course, a manager from Spectrum was supposed to have called me back, supervisor from Spectrum, but they're not going to call me back. And I knew that when he told me he was going to call me back. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to hold my breath, buddy. They don't care. Spectrum doesn't care. So anyway, we lost our toll-free number that we've been branding for over a decade with the radio show and everything else, that it's so lodged in my memory that I still spit it out automatically when I'm dropping the number on the air. Ridiculous. So then we say, you know what, never again. We're going to do our toll-free number ourselves. So we're going to run it through the same thing that we do our robocalls through. And so my staff's like, oh, we can get the programming done right. So now we have the 800 number, the toll-free number. That toll-free number works. It does go to the service center, but it's supposed to reroute during the day, during the business day, or during the radio show, I should say, to come here to the radio show instead. And it did not do that this morning. So I sent a text message to my guy this morning, but apparently he's still in bed. So, so you got to get up pretty early in the morning. But yeah, it did not reroute like it was supposed to, unfortunately. Then we had the opposite problem. When we were testing it on Thursday, we kept calling it, and the phone number, it just kept ringing. And we're like, this thing just keeps ringing, and the phone line is not ringing in here. Something is really wrong. Then all of a sudden, someone picks up and says, KFAB. So we had it the wrong way. It was calling KFAB, and it was going to switch to the service center on the weekends, but instead, we flipped it around, but then it didn't work. So, well, we're going to fix this, guys, but then we will own our own 800 number. At this point, it's almost to the point in this world now where if you don't have your own equipment and your own ability to provide your own service, you're just a slave to whoever else is there. Yeah, if Spectrum says your phone number is down, well, so sad, too bad for you. There's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing we want to do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. So just suck it up, Buttercup. It's when did that become life? Maybe it's been that way the whole time, and we just lived in like a Nebraska bubble where everything was local here, and maybe this is how it's been on the coast forever. But I don't know. It was frustrating. Yes, morning after a win, that's for sure, Mark. A win in more ways than one that I'm not supposed to talk about until the 7th of November. But, the Huskers and some other place is awesome to be number one, right? Number one. Love that. Loving that. Got to be some way to celebrate that, right? I mean, I know it's just one game, but, So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, guys, I'm not supposed to talk about it till November 9th, so I'm not going to break the rules and talk about it. But on a completely unrelated subject, it appears that the Omaha Magazine has changed what they do for Best of Omaha when they win now. They're not doing the Best of Omaha trade show anymore. They are doing the Best of Omaha soiree now, where winners of the Best of Omaha can actually go to a party where you can network with other business owners, and tickets are like $60 a ticket, or you can buy a table for $200, $400, $800, or and then there's an exhibition hall that is only for sponsors of the event. And to sponsor the event, it's like, $8,000 or $10,000 or something like that. And the thing that got me was, it's their party. They can do whatever they want. It's their party. I'm there. It is what it is. But the thing is, we didn't ask business owners to go vote for us. We asked our customers to go vote for us. So why would we want to go to a party I understand business to business networking. Totally get it. I get it. But most of the people that are winning in the Best of Omaha are business to consumers. They're B2Cs, not B2Bs. And you have a whole nother magazine, Omaha Magazine, for business to business, for Best of Omaha Business to Business Awards. That's a whole nother thing. Wouldn't you want to do the soiree thing for that, and then the trade show for that? And I don't know. It was a situation where we were looking at it saying, I was super stoked to go do a trade show. We had an awesome booth lined up. We have some virtual reality stuff we were going to put in the booth. I mean, it was going to be a huge draw, and now it's just, I don't know what it's going to be. So I got a weird email back I emailed them back and just kind of said, I'm sad to see that the trade show is gone. Their reply was, well, yeah, basically it just became a big thing where people were just coming to get free stuff, and it became more of a trade show than anything else. And I'm like, that's exactly what a trade show is. People come to get the free stuff, and they give me moments of their attention to get the free stuff. And we have fun giving away free stuff. We like to give away free stuff with our name all over it that you're going to keep in your house for years and years and years. This is a huge marketing opportunity. That's why we wanted to win the Best of Omaha. Yes, it's great to be called the best and to have the logo and the plastic banner that you can not hang on the wall in public because it's a plastic banner. But I want the trade show. That's the whole reason we did this. And now there's no trade show. What the heck? So anyway, so they emailed me back and they said that, because I said it's really too bad. We had quite a booth planned. And, unfortunately, we have to figure out pretty early if we're going to be, ordering things and doing stuff like that. And they said, well, maybe we should get together and meet. It sounds like you have a pretty interesting idea put together. So it tells me there might be some flexibility here that we could still do something. But still, I mean, who's going to $60 a ticket? I mean, I'm not going to send my whole staff. I don't think my staff would want to go. It's a soiree, which tells me it's a black tie party, I'm guessing, which it's nice. My wife and I were talking the other day. It's like, when do you get an opportunity to go dress up for anything anymore? You don't get to go dress up and go out and do anything anymore. So having a black tie event would be kind of fun. But on the other hand, it's not a trade show. And that's what we were really hooked on. That's what we really wanted. So, all right. So if you guys have questions for me, this is the time to ask them. I'm not breaking any rules. I didn't say anything about anything. I simply said that the Huskers are #1, baby, and that there's no trade show for the Best of Omaha this year. So, there's not going to be a place for winners to showcase themselves to consumers, just to other businesses. I didn't break any rules, not a single one. All right. Let's see here. And if it's anyone's fault, it's Mark's fault. Mark said happy morning after a win, and he started that thought train. That's yeah. Hey, Carolyn. It does go fast. The hour goes very fast in radio. It's there and it's gone and it's over with. And I keep saying every week, like this week, I really have to enforce it. I've got to be out of here before 8:30 today. My son's got a football game today, and there's stuff we got to get done to get prepared for that. And it's going to be hot today, so we got to make sure he's pumping water through him pretty good. But so we got some things to get done. So I got to get out of here on time today. And so I can't say, hey, it's going to be a quick aftershock, and then like 77 minutes later, like, oh, we're still going. All right. That's how they all work. Yeah, that's true. Oh, golly. So what else is going on in the service centers this week? We actually do have a lot of people calling in. It was weird. That whole story, it's weird when it's a Sunday morning show on radio, guys, and I'm trying to make sure we keep it as clean as possible for everybody. But those emails that are going around, everybody's getting them, and everybody's calling them. They're called a sextortion email. And basically what they say is that you've been looking at pornography on your computer, and we've got video of you doing that. We have a split screen is how the email works, where on this screen we're showing what you were looking at, and on this screen we're showing you. And if you don't want us to send this video to all of your friends, you're going to pay us this money. So I had to take that description and clean it up for Sunday morning without losing the fact that that's what was happening. And it was like Scott sitting across from me, and he was like, nicely done. I was like, yeah, that's not fun. That was a hard one to clean up. Oh golly. So yeah, that was an interesting. We're getting a lot of those lately, guys. A lot of those stories. Also, on the back end of things, for those of you who like to rejoice for small business, so Google says that we can't advertise, we can't put any ads up for Schrock Innovations at all because we provide third-party online technical support, i.e., the Schrock Desk. Okay, so a subscription service that people come to us and subscribe to, where we then deliver the service that they've subscribed to, is not okay, because there's so many third-party scammers out there that call you up and say, there is a problem with your IP address. It be infected badly. You need to get a fix. I got a fix for you now. Let me into your computer, and then people let them in. And then all of a sudden it's a $400 thing, and then they're buying Google ads because they want to get people to click on their ads to get logged into the computer and everything. So Google, rather than just kicking out the people that were abusing it, just banned the entire industry, the entire remote tech support industry. And as a result, because our website was identified as a website that could potentially provide remote technical support, any service that we provide is now banned. So we can't advertise data recovery. We can't advertise new computers. We can't advertise anything on Google anymore. And on one hand, you're like, well, Google's really kind of shooting themselves in the foot here. On the other hand, you can go advertise everywhere except Google, and you're still missing 70% of the search audience, because 70% of people out there use Google. We've had ads on Bing and Yahoo, and we were getting 1 or 2 data recovery jobs a week off of that, as opposed to when we had ads on Google where we were getting 3 or 4 a day. It was pretty spectacular, because we're the only local place that does this well. There are other local places in town that do data recovery, that provide data recovery services. However, they don't actually provide the service. They take the drive, they put it in a box, they send it out to somebody else. They get a 10% cut when File Savers or whoever recovers the data and sends it back. Whereas we do the work in our shop. So, for example, we did a RAID 5 recovery this week for a Department of Homeland Security. They had a NAS box that was supposed to be on the backup tapes, but it wasn't. The box failed. They needed the data recovered, and it was training videos and stuff. They needed it recovered quick. And we recovered 6 terabytes of RAID 5 data within 72 hours for them. And when you think about, that's 72 hours, or gosh, that's a long time. That's 3 days. Well, if you're going to copy 6 terabytes, you have to copy it twice. You have to copy the data from the failed array onto a stable drive, and then you have to put it like on an external drive that you can give back to the customer so they can take their data. So you have to copy 6 terabytes twice, which is 12 terabytes of data, half of it going through a USB cord. Yeah, it takes a couple days just to copy the data. So the fact that we got the whole recovery done in less than 24 hours, and then the rest of the time was just copying time, that's spectacular. That service, okay, so that recovery, I can't tell you how much the recovery was, but I can tell you that if that recovery would have been ordered from a company like Drive Savers in California, the RAID recovery itself, let's just assume they didn't know it was a government agency, because if they knew it was a government agency, it would be way more expensive. But let's just say there was just a normal person. That RAID array would have been $5,000 to $7,000 to recover, and then because they wanted an expedite, they wanted it fast, they would have charged probably $9,000 to get it done within 72 hours. At Schrock, we did it for less than a third of that price. Less than a third. We did all the work in-house. We did all the work on our equipment with our technicians. All that local expertise is what we have at Schrock Innovations that nobody else in town has. Everybody else has recovery facilities and they ship things out. So we turned around and said, okay, we really need to advertise this on Google again. We have to do something. So we built a whole new website called datarecoverytechnicians.com. So datarecoverytechnicians.com. So there's a link to it. You can take a look at it. It's still a work in progress. We're still tweaking things, changing grammar. So please, no grammatical corrections. We're getting to them. Right now, we just had to get something up so that we could run ads again. And so Data Recovery Technicians, let me see if I can bring up the Google page for this. Data Recovery Technicians on Google. I'm going to get a lot of ads. Omaha. Let's try to do a local search. Data Recovery Technicians, Omaha. And I do not get a business page. I thought we created this already because I wanted to get reviews. RVIEW reviews. Let's see if that pops it up. Negative, 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 negative. Let's see more places. Affordable Computer, Schrock Innovations, RescueCom of Omaha. I don't even know who that is. All right, so apparently we have not created that yet, or it's not verified yet. But basically, we went ahead and created a new website, datarecoverytechnicians.com. And Data Recovery Technicians is the same thing as Schrock Innovations. This is Schrock Innovations. And so you see on the website it says, located inside of Schrock Innovations. And it's literally, it's not perfect. It's not perfect by a long shot. But it is allowed us to put ads up again. So this is the stupidity of Google. Google says you can't advertise a service that you legitimately offer that is not remote tech support. We're the place that people call after they get scammed to get their stuff fixed. So we create a separate website with a separate company name and a separate business, and we locate it inside. It pays rent to Schrock Innovations, and now all of a sudden it's perfectly legit. Yes, I mean that we followed all the rules. You know, we did everything right. We got it up. Now it's online, and we're getting jobs back in the data recovery lab again. People are hearing about us again. So I guess, you know, one of the things out there is if you have a data recovery situation or you know someone that does have one, let us know. We're happy to help. We'll do everything we can to keep the price as low as possible. You know, we had one that came in from Lincoln. They were really hoping it would be that $400 minimum to get the data back. It's imaging right now in the Omaha Service Center. It's not doing well. You know, we tried to keep it to 400. It looks like it's going to be 800. But still, that same job at a national company would have been $2,000 or $3,000. So 800 versus 2,000 or 3,000 is significantly less expensive. We can save you a lot of money if something like this happens by staying local and helping a local business and having great technicians like Brian. Brian is the puzzle master. He goes back there and he finds us. How am I going to get this data? And he's like, this doesn't work, and that doesn't work, and this doesn't work, and that doesn't work. But if I take this stack of tools and balance them on a pinhead and then spin them in a circle like Iron Man and put a graphic on the screen, then I can get your data. And look at that. I'm getting your data. And I come in, and Brian literally is like jumping up and down. Thor, I got it. I'm like, what'd you get? He's like, I got the data. I'm like, which data? That data. Whose data? No, who's on first? You know. And we went through this whole thing. But anyway, he's just having a great time with it. We got a real tricky one in right now. It's a Hitachi hard drive. that no one ever remembers putting a hardware password on the drive. The drive itself is password protected, but nobody knows the password. So how do you crack the password on a password protected hard drive that's designed to keep the data from being released to people who don't have the password? Oh, this is some FBI level stuff. And I looked at it. I did a few things. I did some searches. There's some software out there that can help. I set it aside and said, Brian, you might want to look at this one, because I know he is gonna be working on that all weekend. It's gonna be like a pet project for him. He's gonna have a field day with it. But that's the kind of support you get at Schrock. It's people who actually enjoy what they do. And you can tell the difference when you go into a business where someone is not enjoying what they do. When you go into a business and get helped by somebody who's just there for the paycheck, yeah, you're just gonna you can feel it, right? So when you come into Schrock, I hope you don't feel. If you feel that way when you come into Schrock, you let me know, because I have the wrong person sitting there. But you know, we bring people in. Like, we have this new kid. His name is Ryan in the Papillion Service Center, and I call him a kid. Everyone's a kid to me now because I'm getting old, but he's got this energy about him. Now, he has a lot of self experience with computer stuff. He doesn't have the customer service experience really that we look for when we hire somebody, but that can be trained. He has this energy about him, this X factor energy, that he's excited and he cares, and it shows when he does stuff. So even if he doesn't immediately have the answer to something, people working with him can tell that he is as invested in getting that answer as they are. And people want to work with people who are invested in them. And so, you know, we're training him up like you would not believe right now, because he has the potential. Now, don't let this go to your head, Ryan, but he has the potential to be one of the greats if he works hard and he stays at it and he pays attention to the training details that we're giving him. He could be one of the great technicians at Schrock. We've had some really good ones over the years, and he could be one of them. But that's the kind of potential we look for in people. A lot of times we can't hire technicians at Schrock. We got to make them. So it's kind of fun. All right, last call for questions, guys. Then I got to book out of here. All righty. So Blake, okay, talking to the lovely Kimberly, sent family slides to Walmart, almost 1,200 of them, paid 15 cents a slide, received a DVD and 60 days of internet access to save onto the cloud service. Very satisfied with quality. Well, heck, I didn't even realize Walmart did that. Last week, Blake had a question on the show about where he could go to have some slides processed. And a while back, the lovely Kimberly actually had a lot of stuff to do. And she thought, you know what, there's so many services out here. As you started looking into them, a lot of them send your stuff overseas, and they don't tell you that. So there's all kinds of potential for getting lost in shipping and things like that. Some places do it in-house, but they don't do high definition, or they don't do certain types of things. So yeah, we'll do it all for you, but it's going to look like garbage. And then they have the place that does everything perfectly, but it's ridiculously expensive. And so she took all the stuff she had, and she divided it up into separate piles and sent a little bit to each company to kind of basically get a review and see which one was best that she'd send the bulk to. But we didn't send any to Walmart. So that's something to look into. If you're listening still, lovely Kimberly, Blake sent his slides to Walmart and had a pretty good result. So that's awesome, Blake. Thanks for sharing that with us. We appreciate it. All right, what else do we have going on in the shops today? I've shared some data recovery stories, Lincoln Service Center stories. Oh man, customer comes in for a maintenance checkup in Lincoln. There's nothing wrong with the hardware in their computer. We don't replace or change any hardware in the computer. We do a basic maintenance checkup. They have everything we offer. They need nothing. We take the computer back to their house, and the computer is interfering with AM radio signals, like massively interfering. If the computer is turned on and you pull onto the street with your car, you lose the AM radio signal. Like it goes, like, on all frequencies. What in the world? How do you do that? How could, if you wanted to do, I have an AM radio signal jammer, and I'm going to show that Schrock guy what's what. I'm going to jam all the radios in Omaha. Wah! How do you do that if you want to do that? Holy cow. So we're looking at this computer, and of course we bring it back into the service center, and it doesn't jam our radio. We send it back out. We've seen this in the past. It's usually a fan. Replace the CPU fan for them. Don't charge them. They're good customers. Replace the CPU fan for them. Send it back out, and that should take care of it. Problem solved. Send it back out. Nope. Problem not solved. So we send a technician out to the house, and he confirms, sure enough, it's blasted. Any AM radio that gets close to this thing is dead. And so on site, we're like plugging and unplugging fans, and there's no moving part that we can identify that's doing it. We had to replace the whole flipping computer for this customer. So wow, that was insane. Never seen anything like that before that was not resolvable by replacing the fan. So yeah, just one thing, if you're getting AM radio interference, be sure to let us know. All right, talked to Brian this past week. Customer service skills were great. Brian is good. Brian is funny. That's the biggest thing about Brian is he's got that kind of that dry wit about him where he'll say something that has people rolling on the floor and he'll be like, yep, that's pretty funny. Yep. All right, sister called me yesterday saying she lost all pictures from a 5-year-old Galaxy phone. What would cause all pictures to disappear, and what would be the best way to troubleshoot or recover? All right, if all the pictures are missing from the phone, Galaxy phone, the important thing is what the model of the phone is, because everything from the Galaxy S7 forward uses encrypted memory chips. So there is no recovery possible at that point, unfortunately. If it was S6 or earlier, like an S5, an S3, S2, something like that, those can be actually scanned and files can be recovered pretty easily, actually. So the other thing, though, is why did it happen? There's 2 ways you can store. On an Android phone, you can store your photos inside the phone on the memory inside the phone, or you can store them on the little camera card, the little SD card that goes into the phone. If it's on the SD card, SD cards do wear out and they do fail, guys. So if you haven't replaced your SD card in like a decade, you might just want to replace it out of an abundance of caution. They make some killer, you can get a 1 terabyte card now. I mean, they're ridiculous. Anyway, if it's saved on a card, we can recover that in a card reader. If it's saved on the phone, we have to do some rooting and some unlocking on the phone, but then we can get the software off of it. But everything from the S7 onward, the recovery, same thing with iPhones, everything from like the iPhone 7 up, iPhone 6 up, was all encrypted. And as a result, if you have an accidental deletion or a format or something like that happens, enter the passcode too many times incorrectly, it wipes the phone. If that happens to you, unfortunately, that stuff is just lost forever. And Apple's response is you should have cloud storage. You should have a cloud backup. Android doesn't really have an official cloud backup like Apple does, but Samsung does, and Amazon Prime does, and Dropbox does. I mean, there's tons of services that you can get the same thing for little or no money that you should look into if you have an Android phone. All right. I'm in the market for a PC that will jam some AM frequencies in the neighborhood. Any ideas? No, it's not some AM frequencies, Bryce. It's all AM frequencies. It wipes out the dial. You can't even, if you're a competing station with KFAB, you can't even just selectively block 1110. We've had that before. When we first had this problem happen to us, like way back in like 2012, AMD put these super duper kick butt fans, these processor fans with their chips, their high-end chips. They had these big, thick copper pipes, and the fans would ramp up to like 5,000 RPM. And when they would ramp up to full speed, they would kick off RF interference for some reason. And ironically, at that time, the radio show, the only station it was on was the original, the OG 1240 AM KFOR Lincoln. And this fan would selectively block 1240 AM only. It was the most ironic thing ever. It would block the station that we're on, but no other stations. At least now it's being an equal opportunity blocker, and it's zapping every station on the dial, but only at their house, which made no sense to me. No sense whatsoever, because we unplug the monitor, unplug the keyboard, unplug the mouse, unplug the speakers. So now the computer is just operating in their house, blasting all the AM signals. Put a new computer in, no bad AM signals. Don't understand it. All righty, guys. Got to wrap it up. Thank you for joining us for the Aftershock today. I hope it was relatively entertaining, if not a little briefer than normal. But just a little program note for those of you who are super diehard fans. Next week, I will actually be at a wedding on Sunday. So the show will have to be pre-recorded. So I'm going to be recording a show this week, and that show will be airing. I'm not going to run a rerun on you. We're going to actually do an original show. So we'll do a show I'm going to record this week that'll air on Sunday. I'm going to drop the call-in numbers during the show because the show gets tape delayed by a week and is heard in other cities. So we want people to call in next week. So we're going to drop the 800 numbers, but when you try to call in, you're not going to be able to get through. It's not a problem with the 800 number, okay? Everything is fine there. It's that I'm not here. So as a result, there will be no AfterSchrock because I'm not here. So no AfterSchrock show next week. I won't say anything about the after. Well, it's tape delayed a week, so maybe I will say that stay tuned for the after. Maybe I'll just leave it out. I don't know. I'll figure it out, but there won't be an AfterSchrock because I won't be here. So anyway, we'll be actually on the road on the way back at that time. And I talked to lovely Kimberly. I'm like, I could totally just set the phone on the dashboard, and we're just like, so what was new this week for you guys? We went to a wedding today, and blah, blah, blah. We could just do an AfterSchrock from the road. Why not? She's like, no, Thor, you get yelled at for driving while you're on the phone. I'm like, well, you could. She's like, no. I'm like, okay. So no AfterSchrock next week, guys, and it's the lovely Kimberly's fault. All right. Torrid cores on the power cord can mitigate RF interference, ham radio trick. Oh, the little clamps. Yeah, the little clamps that go over the power cord. So you think that it's it's RF coming off the ground wire? Is that what you're thinking, Brad? It's possible, but then why wouldn't it happen at our shop? Is there power dirty or something? I don't know. Anyway, they got a new computer out of the deal, and then it was kind of funny because they had a 2011 regular X4 build, and we replaced it with a 2014 holiday special. So I mean, it's a heck of an upgrade from where they were at. It's not the top of the line by any means, but it's a heck of an upgrade. And they were like, wait a minute, why did you have the 2014 holiday special laying around? Well, because a customer recycled it. They were done with it. And so they turned it in for recycling, and they bought a new computer. And so there was nothing wrong with it. We had it here. We kept it around for parts because those 2014 parts are hard to get sometimes. And so we said, well, we want to make sure we give you something that's more valuable than what you had before if we're going to do this. So there's a 2014 holiday special. We can give you a Boundless, the brand new Boundless if you want. But I would rather have the 2014 holiday special, to be honest. A lot of extra parts in there. But anyway, all right. The wire acts as an antenna. Yeah, I suppose that could, that would do it. Boy, if a $4 little clip would have fixed it, that sure is a punch in the gut. All right, guys, got to roll out. Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the week, and we'll talk to you. Well, you'll hear from me next week. I won't be talking, though. Have a great afternoon.